Hello, it's Brittany, and I am back today to do a tutorial teaching two pairs of earrings and a bracelet featuring a handmade bracelet bar using this awesome Color Trends bead mix. Now I'm going to be using two of the bead mixes today. I'm also going to use some chain reaction. This style is style 34. This came in a bundle and I love the connectors on it. So sometimes we kind of overlook the details and just say, oh, here's some chain that matches and use it. But I really wanted to dial in on the details of this chain today. We're going to be using some 20 gauge artistic wire in antique brass and some head pins and ear wires as well, and one toggle shown there. Okay, so I'm going to open up my mix. I already have one mix open here. I'm just going to open up the mix. And I am going to spill that out. So the first thing we're going to make is a pair of earrings, and we're going to feature two of these flowers. Now remember, I'm using two mixes today. If you only have one, you can use something else on the bracelet that we'll use, because I need three of these today. So here's one for our earring, one for our bracelet. I'm going to start with the earring today, and we'll need to take out three of these little turquoise crystals. I just love this mix, and it's no wonder with my YouTube channel being called Turquoise.Street. And then we'll need just two of these little cat's eye beads. Aren't they cute? I love orange or rust together with turquoise. It's one of my favorite favorite color mixes. We'll also need some head pins. So I'm just going to spill some of those out here. And we're going to make three simple dangles. So you want to make sure your head pins are large enough so they don't go through the hole of your bead. Sometimes some beads might have larger holes than your head pin. So I'm just going to make three turquoise dangles and two orange dangles. So I'm going to do that we're not wire wrapping, we're just cutting. Or I'm sorry, we're just doing simple loops today. And make it a little bit longer than we normally would. Snip. Take my pliers and make my simple loop. So on these, as you can tell, I made a little bit of a neck, and I'll show you why in just a little bit. So I want to make sure that's closed. And then I'm going to do that 4 more times. Okay, so I am going to take my first piece, which is a turquoise piece, and then I'm going to take my second piece, which will be an orange. And I'm going to open up the orange, and I'm going to hook it around the neck of the turquoise piece and make sure this is closed. Actually, we don't really need it to be too closed at the moment, but when we put it on the rest of the earring, we will. So I'm going to grab the turquoise bead and hook that around, just like that. Then I'm going to close that back up. Okay, And then we're going to do that again, alternating until we get to our last bead. So I'm going to take my next turquoise, open it up, and slip it around the neck of the orange bead. The goal is really to get it around the neck of the bead, not in the loop. However, if the space between the bead and the loop isn't large enough, no problem. You can just put it in the loop itself. Okay, so now I need an orange. I'm going to just lay that so my first piece is pointing towards the top. Get my next orange one, and we'll hook it onto our turquoise. And we'll come back to our first turquoise and put that up like that. And then we're going to take our last turquoise and hook it around the last orange. So we've got almost, well, it is a chain that we've created, but each one's alternating. Next, I'm going to go back to that original turquoise, making sure that it's staying up, but you can see how they alternate if you put it against your hand. So orange is on the right or the left, depending on which way it's focused, and then the turquoise are on the other side. You can do this in all one color. You can use several different colors. I'm just using the two smallest beads that were in this mix, and they just go really well together. And then I'm going to take my first turquoise bead. I'm going to open that up and hang it underneath our flower. There we go. So we have a dangle of 3 beads, or 3 turquoise, 2 orange, and you can keep going for as long as you want. With using 2 mixes, there should be enough for you to keep going if you'd like. Next, I am going to take one of these turquoise beads, and I'm going to take a regular eye pin, slip that through, and then I'm just going to wire wrap the top. I'm not going to worry about the bottom being wire wrapped because this is how we're going to attach it to our flower. So we're going to go back and then bring it up and around. Sometimes pre-made eye pins can be a little difficult to wire wrap. That's totally okay. If you need to, which I do in this case, because it's too rough for my fingers, I'm going to take a second pair of pliers and wire wrap down. And then just kind of eyeball where you'd like it to be. Obviously I want that to be the back because there's a little bit of a gap, but you can't see it in the front. And I am going to wrap that around as much as I can and then snip in the back. There we go. There we go. And then I'm just going to take my simple loop, open that up, and slip it on our flower. Trying to pay attention to where we'd like the back of the bead to be. So this is the back. We want that to be the back of the flower. Gotta open that up a little bit more. And just double check before you close it, because the more you open and close something, the weaker the wire will become. So I think that's backwards. I'll try it one more time. There we go. Close that up, and then we'll get an ear wire. I think I put one aside. Go. And we'll just open that up. Slip on our flower. There is our first pair of earrings. Isn't that super cute? I love that. I love the design, and you can do those in any way you'd like. So here's our second one. Any pattern I was going to say. So there we go. Super cute. And they make a cute noise. And people will see them and say, wait, where did you get those cute boho earrings? So that's my favorite thing when people ask me where I got something. Oh, I made it. What? So, okay. So that was pair number 1. Pair number 2, we're going to use some 22 gauge wire in gold. And I always eyeball wire and string because I never know how much to use. This one we're going to use quite a bit, so I'm going to cut at least a foot. You can adjust that to whatever you'd like. And I'm going to take one of these discs, so one of these magnesite coins. Okay, and I'm going to slide my bead onto my wire, and I'm going to bring it down pretty far because I want to have some at the top to wire wrap with later. So but there's still quite a bit on the tail. I'm going to back out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So we have probably 6 inches at the least up at the top, and actually I cut quite a bit more, so it's probably like a foot at the bottom. But again, it's all to taste how you want to do this. So we'll have the shorter end sticking up the top of the bead, and then we're going to come around, and I'm going to freestyle this. So I'm going to take the wire up one side of the bead, wrap it around the back of the tail at the top, and then I'm going to bring it around the front, and then I'm going to do that until I'm satisfied with how the bead looks. So we're actually essentially making our own head pin using a bead and some wire, or dangle, or however you want to call it. So for this one, I'm going to go 4 times, so we're at 3. I'm just going to pull it around. And I'm going to go one more time around the front. It's a little organic. You can cross them. You don't have to cross them. You can do whatever you want. You can also use thinner wire to go or more times around it, whatever look you're going for. Then I'm going to take my wire and wrap it around a couple times at the top to secure it so it's not moving. Okay, just like that. I'm going to move it to the back. There we go. Move it to the back, and we're going to snip off our excess. Then I am going to liberate a link from our chain reaction. I already did that. Here's one. And then I'm going to start making another loop. So here's the front of the bead. Do another wire wrapped loop. Bring it around to the back. And then before we start finishing off our wire wrap, I'm going to slide that on and hold that in place while I wire wrap. So we're going to go like this until I like how it looks. And obviously this piece is really messy, and we can just go until I feel like it's finished. So I like how that looks. Just going to snip off a little bit in the back. And this would be a cute earring just like that. But I am going to take a cat's eye bead, and I'm going to use it in another wire wrap to create a link. So I'm going to grab some more wire, and I won't need nearly as much for this piece because it's such a small bead, and we're not wire wrapping it quite like we did with the first bead, although we are going to need more than we would just for a traditional link. So I'm going to cut a length of wire. And I'm going to start a loop. And it doesn't need to be too much. And I'm going to slip on my little link. We're just going to close that up really quickly. The loop could probably even be a little bit smaller than that one was. I'm going to snip this. Again, it doesn't need to look pretty because we're going to cover that up. Okay, we're going to slide on our bead. Oh, that was a new spool of wire. We're going to slide on our bead. And then I am going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a wire wrap loop at the top. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. And I'm going to wrap a little bit messily up the top, just like we've been doing throughout this project. And then as I am wrapping, I'm going to bring my wire down and around the orange bead and do a wire wrap around the bottom to make that a little messier. And I'm going to hold this with my hand for a moment. We kind of switch back and forth with whatever's easiest. Sometimes my pliers are easiest, sometimes my fingers, and sometimes it's like back and forth, back and forth. I'm going to straighten that out a little bit with my wire, my nylon jaw pliers. Here we go. Like I said, back and forth. And then I'm going to come back up this bead, making sure I do it opposite of my original wrap, which could be in the back, but I don't want it to, I want to be able to see it twice, so I'm going to bring it up opposite and cross over in the front, so like this. Kind of looks like almost like a lantern or something. So I'm just going to wire wrap a couple loops at the top, get it a little messy, and snip. Okay, so we have a very messy wrap. There we go. And I want to make sure that my loops are correct. So we have the front of our bead. It's right here. Then we have our link. Then we have this bead, which we want to make sure is facing the right way, which it is there. And then I'll take the top and twist until we get it the way we want it. There we go. There we go. So I'm going to take a gold ear wire. And we just want to make sure the earring is facing the correct way when we put it on. And here is our pair. So like I said, it's very organic. This one, it's easier not to do it on camera, but just work the wire the way you'd like it. Get it organic, get it messy. If you want it to be a little bit more uniform, that's totally fine too. I just really wanted something a little rustic. So I'm loving these links in the middle, loving the wire with my two favorite colors mixed together. So next we're going to make a bracelet that matches the earring that we made earlier. So from the second set, we'll want to grab our flower. Right here. I'm going to move some of these beads out of the way. I'll need one of these crystals, and then we're going to use 3 of these glass beads, 6 of these bead caps, and it's going to be multi-metal color. So there are 4, 5, 6. And I am going to grab both of these antique brass beads. And then my clasp and these beads. We might need 3 or 4. So I'm just loving that pop of orange brown with the turquoise. We'll need some eye pins, and then again some antique brass 20 gauge wire. So I have about a foot, but we're not going to need that much. I always overcut. I say that all the time. So I'm just going to create a wire wrapped loop. First, we're making a bracelet bar. So just make a wire wrapped loop. I'm actually going to make it a little smaller than that. There we go. And I'm going to slip on my flower. Okay. And I'm going to hold this. And this isn't really going to be messy, although you absolutely can do messy. I really like the look of the messy wrap better, but this one's just going to be a couple wraps, and we want to make sure we get those as close together as possible. There we go. I think I'm going to do 3 wraps, and then I'm just going to cut. Okay, so I'm going to load my beads on, starting with bead cap, glass bead, bead cap, metal spacer, bead cap, glass bead, and then we'll just keep going that same pattern. And here is our pattern for our bracelet bar. So again, it's just this portion that we're making into a bracelet bar. Here is where we want to gently bend it into a curve, because we don't want to, if we wire wrap at that point, it might not bend, or there might not be a room for a bend if we do it in a straight line. So I'm going to do a quick wire wrap here, and I'm not worried about attaching anything else to it right now. And again, we want a smaller loop if possible. So I'm just gonna make it smaller by bringing that around a little bit more. And then I am just going to wire wrap just about 3 times like we did on the other side. There we go. Snip that as close as possible, tuck in any ends if you need to. And we have half of our bracelet. So we've got our wire wrapped bracelet bar. It's going to be like right there. And our focal will be this flower going into our toggle clasp. So the toggle clasp, since it's patterned, is going to be everything on this bracelet is a focal. So no matter where the bracelet lays on your wrist, you'll have something very interesting to look at. So I set aside one of the crystals, and I'm just going to take an eye pin and make a simple loop. You could wire wrap this if you wanted to use your remaining wire, but this part's going to be a little bit easier if I just make a simple loop. I'm going to open this up and attach it to our flower. You can do that before or after you put the bead on. Now we have our little flower and our crystal. And then you want to kind of gauge how you want to end your bracelet. Normally, when you're using a toggle clasp, you need a bead that will fit through your loop, because normally you have to pull the toggle and the next bead through to get it to close. If you can't use a smaller bead here, you can extend it by using smaller jump rings. I'm going to put on the toggle, the bar part of the toggle on this side because it's a smaller bead than there will be on the other side. Now I'm just going to link together several of these beads, starting with this one that's already linked together, and I am going to attach it to my bracelet bar. So we're kind of color blocking here too. So we're getting the blues and the antique brass, and then we go right into the orange and browns. And so we'll just do the same simple loops that we've been making throughout the bracelet. And then I'm just going to directly attach this right to my loop. You can use a jump ring, you can use a smaller bead, whatever makes you happy. If you have a charm that you'd like to include here, that would be really cute hanging down too. And here's our adorable little bracelet. And it's kind of color blocked, but every little piece is a focal. So we have these gorgeous glass beads that are just stunning with the swirls inside them. We have our toggle that has a great pattern, our beautiful flower, and we have our pretty bracelet bar. Something that I just noticed about this bead is it's got a hole in the middle. So if you wanted to go a little bit further, make it just a little bit more decorative, totally grab one of your crystals and maybe a ball head spacer or ball head pin, stick it through your bead. Oh yeah, isn't that super cute? Oh my gosh, I can't believe we almost missed out on that prime real estate there. So I'm gonna make a simple loop here. Just gonna cut it off, but you can absolutely wire wrap. And I'm just going to keep looping until that baby is tight in there, and you'll be able to tell. So we don't want the bead to be moving around on the front, and we'll just keep tightening. So there we go. And I'll go in and trim that in just a moment, but look how cute that is. I'm gonna keep tightening. We almost missed a prime opportunity there to get some more turquoise on a bracelet. There we go. It's so cute. And I'll just snip that little extra piece off so I don't get snagged on my clothing or my skin. There we go. Oh my gosh, super cute. This is definitely my favorite project, but look how well it matches our earrings. So thank you so much for watching today. It's always a treat when I get to work with turquoise beads. So I also want to say thank you to Jesse James Beads, and it's always a joy to be back and do a tutorial for you. Please check me out on Turquoise.Street on YouTube, and my bead group on Facebook is called Brittany's Beads. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye. Are you tired? Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Oh my gosh, that's your trigger word. Why aren't you jumping up? Is it because of the camera? Goldie, are you hungry? Are you hungry? No, you just don't. You know I'm joking with you. You know I'm teasing you because the camera's out. Goldie, you're too smart. You're too smart for mommy. Say hi, friends. Hi, look at that little smile. She's happy it's the weekend. Yeah, hi, cutie.